you know how often you hesitate and stop yourself? All day long. There's actually a neurological reason why change is so hard. Your brain is designed to stop you from changing. Let me explain. You see, change requires you to do things that are uncertain, scary, or new. Your brain is designed to protect you from doing things that are uncertain, scary, or new. What's your brain's favorite way to protect you? To trap you in your head by making you overthink. I've studied and interviewed the leading researchers in psychology and human behavior, and what they've taught me is that the moment you want to change, break a habit, or do something hard or scary and you hesitate, your brain goes to work to stop you. Now, there's all kinds of fancy names for this. Cognitive biases, the paradox of choice, the psychological immune system, the spotlight effect. I could name hundreds of them. You don't need to know the fancy names. You just need to know one simple fact. There is a system in your head that is stopping you every step of the way. And the 5-second rule is the only tool that you need to beat it. So how does the 5-second rule beat the system in your head? There are two explanations. First, I'm going to give you the simple one, then I'm going to explain the science. At its most basic level, the 5-second rule is a tool that helps you take action. It gets you out of your head, and that's the secret. You've got to stop thinking and start living before the system in your head has a chance to stop you. Now let's talk about the science. The 5-second rule leverages proven principles in modern psychology, and there are literally hundreds of examples that I could point to, but in this video we're just going to focus on 5 of them. First, let's talk about 2 concepts, one called locus of control, the second called a bias toward action. So a locus of control is a foundational principle in psychology. You should Google it. Back in the day, researchers figured out that there are basically 2 kinds of people. People that believe that they're in control of their lives, and folks that believe that life is just happening to them and they're a victim of whatever might happen. Now, when you look at these 2 types of people, people that have an internal locus of control, a belief that they're in control of their lives, they're happier. They're more successful, more productive. So the question becomes, how do you create an internal locus of control in yourself? The answer is simple. It's called a bias toward action. So a bias toward action is a psychological principle that means you're the kind of person that has a bias toward taking action instead of a bias toward thinking. How do you create a bias toward action? You guessed it. The 5-second rule. The 5-second rule is a tool that will teach you how to take action. And over time, as you use it, you not only learn how to take action, you become the kind of person that operates with a bias toward taking action. And when you take action over and over and over on your instincts, on your desires, on your commitments, guess what you get? You build an internal locus of control. You become the kind of person that believes that you're in control of your life because you're proving it to yourself, one 5-second decision at a time. Let's move on to topic 2, behavioral flexibility. So just a few years ago, scientists thought that our brains stopped growing at the age of about 25. What we now know is that your brain never stops growing. We have the ability to learn new things throughout an entire lifetime. We call this behavioral flexibility. One of the things that's exciting about the 5-second rule and that we see from people all over the world is that when they utilize the rule over and over and over again, they not only create immediate change in the moment with a 5-second decision, but that over time, as they repeat the new behavior, whether it's speaking up in meetings more or it is pushing yourself to exercise over and over, that you actually create new habits and become an entirely different person. This is what your brain is designed to do in terms of its neural pathways and the way that new neural pathways can develop. Every time you use the 5-second rule and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, activate your prefrontal cortex and shift your behavior, you are not only creating immediate behavior change, over the long run, thanks to behavioral flexibility, you're creating lasting behavior change. The third principle is do good, be good. Now, this is a principle that I first learned about from legendary psychological researcher and University of Virginia professor Timothy Wilson. Basically, it means that you can't think your way to being happier or better. You actually got to do something. Now, this do good, be good philosophy dates all the way back to Aristotle, and it's based on the belief and now the proven technique that in order to change, you can't think your way to being more positive. You've got to do things, you got to act, and then your mind will follow. What is the 5-second rule? It's a tool that will help you stop thinking and start doing. Do good, be good, and then your mind will follow. The fourth principle, and that's the golden rule of habits. Now, I could spend 2 or 3 hours just talking about habit research, and whether you read Charles Duhigg's best-selling book or Gretchen Rubin's book on habits, or you watch a number of TED Talks, all researchers believe that habits come down to one golden rule, and that's this: you can never change the things that trigger you. You can't control your urges or how you might feel, but you can always choose how you behave. If you want to break a habit, once you have a habit, it's always going to be encoded in your brain. The only way that you can break it is to replace it with new behavior. There's also something in the research around habits called a starting ritual. A starting ritual is a repeated behavior that you adopt in order to trigger a new habit. The 5-second rule is so incredibly powerful when it comes to breaking old habits and adopting new ones because, number one, the 5-second rule and counting backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, is a starting ritual. It will interrupt the old behavior pattern and it will trigger a new one. The 5-second rule over time, and this is really cool, actually becomes the new pattern of behavior. Instead of stopping yourself with self-doubt or blowing things off or overeating, you have a new pattern of behavior. You catch yourself. You gain control. You have confidence. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you do the thing that you know you want to do. And finally, the principle called activation energy. Now, activation energy is something that was first introduced into the field of human behavior and psychology several decades ago by a rock star professor at the University of Chicago that studied a state of flow. His name was Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, and he was one of the first really to study human behavior, human performance, and he coined this term activation energy. He actually borrowed it from chemistry. And it's a term that describes this phenomenon. In order to start any kind of chemical reaction, it takes a tremendous amount of energy to create that initial spark. A lot more energy to start it than to keep it going. There's a direct correlation to you and me. Have you ever noticed how hard it is to just get started? How hard it is to get to the gym? How hard it is to get out of bed? How hard it is to put down the bottle when you go to pour a second drink and you know you shouldn't? That feeling, how hard it is to get started, this is what Mihai's talking about. You need activation energy to start the chain, to start to sit down, to start to get out of bed, to start to walk out the door. That's the key to creating any kind of change. This activation energy inside of you that causes the initial boom. And then what do we hear over time? Once you start, there's a chain reaction, and that allows you to keep going. So what's this have to do with the 5-second rule? Freaking everything. The 5-second rule creates activation energy in you. The 5-second rule is how you activate change inside of you. It is a tool. When you start counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you awaken your prefrontal cortex. You begin the process of changing. You push yourself in a new direction. That first push, that's going to be the hardest. Once you get moving, it gets so much easier. So those are just 5 psychological, scientific principles that explain the power of the 5-second rule.
I'm Elena, I'm 33, and I'm an illustration artist. And a little bit of a backstory. So starting with the sad stuff first. So my parents, sorry, my parents passed away, my dad in 2018 and my mother in 2019. Two traumas for me, but therapy is going really, really well. So I'm good. I left my work field. I have a bachelor in educational science. So in German, it's Pädagogik in English, I don't know.
Yep.
And I opened my own online shop in January 2021, where I sell my illustrations and stuff. And I now have an exhausting part-time job, a cleaning part-time job, because I have to pay my bills. I have to live, and 12 hours a week. Like I said, really exhausting, but it's fine. That's
well. You also said though that you literally have no debt and you have savings, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to point out to everybody.
Yeah.
I have a terrible habit of focusing on what's going wrong. You're not giving yourself enough credit.
Me?
Let me tell you, Elena, a different way to tell that story. I lost my mom and dad. Devastating. And I'm really proud of myself, which you did say, because I've done a tremendous amount of work and I've pulled myself up by my bootstraps and I sell my illustrations online. And you know what? Even though it's a lot of work, 12 hours a week, I work this job cleaning. It's enough to pay my bills. It gives me time to do other things. I have no debt. I have savings. And this girl has some big dreams. And that's why I signed up for B School.
Exactly.
And when I read your thing, you want to be a travel blogger, it sounds like.
Yes. Right.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Does that scare you?
Not at all. I'm pushing myself quite a lot. Even before my parents passed, I had the goal, okay, I want to make my illustration job and so on. But here's the thing.
Tell me the thing.
I'm doing this since, like I said, I draw for more years now, but I started the online business 2021. So
yeah.
And I'm not making that much income. Sometimes there are months where I'm making nothing. And that's totally fine because I'm at the beginning. I also have, that's also good to know. I have an Instagram. I have a YouTube channel. I love making videos. I'm learning so much. I started TikTok. I have my homepage. I'm writing blog posts. Mel, I also wrote a blog post about you.
Oh, I'll have to read it.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, because there's a huge theme here. You guys noticing the theme with everybody? You guys all have lots of stuff going on. And that's an important thing if you need to have a lot of stuff going on to make ends meet.
Mm.
And I love that you're saying that your illustrations and that store is at the very beginning of the process, and that's going to take time. That's true. But here's what I don't hear. What do you want your life to look like?
I want this to go pretty well. I want to be able, like I wrote, I want to be able to travel. And my goal is to make this happen next year. And
so what do you mean by travel? See, the other thing I'm going to keep pointing out to everybody is that
before you can figure out the plan or the map to get where you want to go, you got to pick your head up and point at what you want. And the more specific the destination, the better. It is impossible to give you great guidance and coaching if I don't know exactly what you want. Because here's the thing, if you really wanted life where you travel, I can tell you 10 travel bloggers that you should follow. You can stalk their stories, and with your skills, you could probably be making money and doing that full time in a matter of 3 to 6 months. Because there are magazines that are looking for freelancers to do that. Once you get with one hotel, they connect you with another hotel. Once you start tagging people, cafes, it is one of those things that builds. You've told me you have no debt, that you have savings, that you have a job that is 12 hours a week that is not keeping you somewhere. So what do you actually want?
I know when I do this next year. So my first goal is to go to Japan again for 3 months.
Okay.
And I know that at my part-time job, they won't let me go and say, okay, it's unpaid vacation. And when you come back here, you can start again. So I know, okay, it's kind of.
So here's what's interesting. You ready? Yeah. I'm going to push you a little bit.
Yeah, please.
Do you have, is that house that you're sitting in a place that you own that you have to pay for?
Nope, it's a flat. And it's the flat of my best friend. And I have to pay such less money.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Your whole life is organized around what's happening at this 12-hour-a-week job.
Yes, exactly.
Do you know why I'm pointing that out?
No.
We are in the single best job market in 40 years.
What was my best job?
No. This is the best job market in 40 years. People cannot find people to work.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
What I'm trying to tell you is that you're organizing your entire life around a part-time job.
I know where you're going.
Where am I going?
Yeah, I have the exact same thought. They are.
No, but where am I going? Where am I going? I'm going to push you.
There are shitty jobs out there everywhere. I can.
There's a shitty job in Japan waiting for you.
Yeah, everywhere. I know. Yeah.
Your issue is courage.
Yeah. That's fun because courage is one of my things that I'm pushing myself. Okay. Yeah.
Prove it.
Yeah. That's right.
I have a feeling that you holding on to where you are has to do with grieving.
Grieving and maybe, okay, my because I have a partner and he also lives here. But I think we can maybe hopefully figure something out.
Elena?
Yeah.
Hope is for children on Christmas morning who hope that they're going to get a certain present. You are a 33-year-old brilliant woman who has taken control of her healing, who has figured out how to set up an entire business around your illustrations. You have paid off your debt. You have savings. We are no longer in a game of hope. We are in the business of creating a life that's amazing. And that begins the moment you wake up and go, what the fuck am I doing? Worried about this job. I am going to call a meeting tonight with my partner and I'm going to say, here's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We are going to reinvent our lives. Fuck it. Let's figure out how to go to Japan for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
because this shitty job's going to be here. And so is this flat when we decide we don't like it. And if I burn through my savings trying to figure something out because I can't figure out how to make that work, then I'll just save more money.
Yeah.
You have nothing to lose.
I'm writing courage big on
Courage. And courage means action.
Yeah.
You're going to feel afraid, but this is the day.
No, that's normal growth.
You're not going to grow in that flat, and you're not going to grow next year. And I'm not going to allow you to wait another year.
Yeah. And this is exactly what I'm feeling. Every time I wake up, I'm doing my stuff, and I'm doing quite a lot of stuff. And I wrote it also to you. Wait, let me point this out.
I saw it. I don't need this. You don't need that. I don't need the story. I don't care how much you're doing. You're doing the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
I'm fucking busy too. And for a long time, it was the wrong stuff, which is why I was miserable.
The only thing I felt, why I feel so, why I ask you if it's a naive or so, because I'm not making that much income or not at all income now. This is
Who cares? Who cares? So you're not making a lot of income, which only means if you stay in the place that you're in, you're going to stay trapped because you don't have enough income. You're not going to have enough income next year either.
Yeah.
Take a risk. Live a little. You can come back to this.
Yeah. This was exactly what I was feeling the whole time.
Well, I hope this is exactly what you do.
Yeah.
Because feeling it, unless it activates action, you might as well just fart, because it doesn't do anything. Like, it just is like, you need to get frustrated and say, I'm done with this. I am sick of myself. In fact, let's pick a date right now. What day are you going to Japan or going to another country or quitting this job? Give me the day. Let's commit publicly right now. It's March 22nd.
March or April.
Give me a date. Let's pull the calendar.
Okay, let's say April the 1st.
April 1st? Hell yes. All right, great. You're going to keep us posted on where you're doing and what your plan is.
I will.
Will you put Glow Autonomo, her account, in the in Instagram? Thank you. She started travel blogging, I think, 7 years ago. And really amazing woman, really good friend of mine, super inspiring.
Okay.
She'll give you tips. And I think on her YouTube channel, she's got all kinds of stuff about how to get started. She's killer.
I also haven't found an illustrator who does this, because I would love to incorporate both.
Listen, I think your ideas are incredible. Go do them.
Okay.
Here's an illustration. You ready?
Yeah.
Give us an illustration of the moment that you got off your ass and quit that job. And then give us an illustration of you buying the plane ticket. And then give us an illustration of how scared you are as you see the savings go down a little. And then give us an illustration of what your partner looks like when he's like, wait, what? We're going where? And then give us an illustration of your first day in Japan.
Yeah.
And then take us on the journey with you.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. You're awesome.
Thank you.
I can't wait.
You're awesome.
Okay. Joyce, you're up, Joyce. Woo! What does that mean to you, Jenna?
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it?
So here's the thing. When I think about the question, how are you really, or how am I really? Most of us don't want to answer it, because we know if we're honest and the answer is I'm not okay, or I'm not happy, or I'm not good, that then we have to do something about it. It's like we have to confront that reality, and that's what will set you free, really. And so one of the things that I think it's wrong so often in this world with so much information, is that we try to go so big so fast that all of a sudden when we crash, we say, why did I ever think I could do that? Who was I to think I could follow through? Who was I to think that I could start the business or lose the weight or get healthier or seek out the relationship? And what we're forgetting is that, like, if we can start to make the smallest progress, like progress that no one can see, progress that isn't Instagrammable, progress that just simply proves to ourselves that we are actually following through, that we are actually progressing and moving forward, that we are actually capable. It's like we're strengthened, and when we're strengthened, the confidence shows up, and when we're confident, we show up in a different way, and when we show up in a different way, we change, and when we change, everything happens. And so it's like we live in a world that literally wants everything to be pretty, and we want it to be showcased. It's like, imagine if you and I were sitting in Vermont and I was like, hey Mel, let's go grab some chairs and watch this tree grow. It would be so boring, right? Nobody would do it, because on the outside, what we see, we're not seeing anything happening. But underneath the surface, those roots are strengthening and lengthening and growing and reaching and giving this growth the roots that it needs to be sustained. And so to me, it's like when we think about what are we going to do about it, we often try to go big. We go too big, and then we live in this shame cycle that we didn't follow through, that of course we weren't able to do it, when in reality, we need to make such tiny little actions. There's a quote in the book that talks from BJ Fogg, where it's like, pick the most minuscule, tiny little steps to progress so that you can build up your belief in yourself. Because the way you show up to your battles is directly linked to the warrior you believe you are. And most people don't even feel like a warrior today. Most people don't even feel like they can show up to the battle. And so it's like, how do we build up our confidence through such infinitely small progress that no one else will see, but that we can feel? That's what I think is the difference.
You know, I've been working on something that I don't think anybody can see. I've started to notice after a couple years of therapy and all these big changes that I put into place, and I wasn't even aware of it. And heck, this is even like with the high five habit that, you know, I started to break through the self-criticism, and the high five habit profoundly changed how I see myself. But I still had a layer deeper, Jenna, a dialogue that I think is generational in the women in my life, of being in conflict about what's going on and simultaneously feeling grief and regret. I've been really blown away and really sad by how much I've tortured myself, because I have this habit of focusing on what's wrong and focusing on what I didn't do in the past. And I live there because the women in my life, my grandmothers, my mom, like, that's their kind of negative mental experience. And so I, every day, and none of you can see this, I catch myself going there.
Yeah.
I catch myself slowly torturing myself that where I am isn't the right place, that what I'm doing isn't the right thing, that, and it is robbing me of what you said, which is creating fat minutes where you can feel the full 60 seconds and be present to it. And so this is something, everybody, that I am working on every single day that nobody can see. It's sort of like when you're doing sit-ups for the first time, you're not going to see any change in the mirror for probably 8 weeks. And I think the same is true for me. And the incremental stuff that I'm doing, the what are you going to do about it? How are you really? Because the truth is, how are you really is, how am I really is I'm doing all this stuff, but in here, I'm like torturing myself because of old mental habits. And I am committed to catching it and noticing it. And then all I do to break that apart, Jenna, is I try to have what you call a fat minute. I try to just go, where am I?
Yeah. Yes. It's all about awareness. What's so crazy is that for so long, I totally believed that I could never meditate. I was like, my brain doesn't work that way. I can't slow it down. I can't not think of anything. Like, I thought that meditating was like emptying your mind, when in reality, it's just having an awareness for your thoughts. And when I shifted it, I am like obsessed with meditation. Like, before I went on the Today Show, I freaking meditated. I was like, who am I? Like, I don't even understand, but it's wild how much of our lives we go through without noticing, whether it's the people, the feelings, how we're really, our thoughts, our narratives, the things that we're beating ourselves up for, we go through and we just don't even notice. We don't even feel it. Like there's a chapter in my book about feeling your feelings. Like it's not about just letting happiness be the destination in our life. It's moving through life with this richness of feeling our feelings. Our feelings are communicating things to us. And so it's all about awareness. And it's like when you start to pay attention, man, your life becomes more vibrant. And that richness of the vibrancy, even the highs and the lows, it makes you feel your life. It makes you awake to it in a totally different way. I love that.
I want to just say one thing.
Do you need to pick somebody up from the airport? I'm slightly concerned here.
Yeah, I do. It's okay. She'll just start anxiety calling. And she started calling in. She's calling Chris. She asked me to trigger. It's all good. We're going to go get her. And in the middle of the panic attack, by the way, the ember is flaming because she's like, oh, and can we stop at Java Juice and get coffee? I'm like, oh,
deal.
Okay. So here's one thing I want to say about that. Feeling your feelings can be terrifying for those of us like me who have spent a lifetime keeping themselves busy or drunk at night. Not drunk, but, buzzed, so that I didn't have to feel. Like, I think one of the reasons why when I really figured out sort of what I was passionate about, writing, coaching, speaking, that I threw myself into it is because when I was focused on something, blaming my feelings and my mind wasn't spinning. And so I've been doing everything and how are you really? And the slowing down, the getting back into my life, the being honest with myself about how the busyness was really not making me happy. And I will tell you guys that when you start to slow down and you start to truly feel what's there that you've been numbing or running away from or like arguing against, that bridge between the old you and the transition to truly like that ember inside you of how you want to feel in your life, which is in it and present to it, crossing that bridge can be terrifying, but you can do it. Mm-hmm. And so it goes back to what we started in the very beginning. There is an ember that's burning inside you, even if you feel like a burnt toast piece of grist pile of ashes. Yeah. That I hope that this conversation has fanned so that you feel it burning a little bit of yearning.
I wanted to hop on real quick and talk about the fact that it's time to start being honest with yourself. And sometimes in life, that's the hardest thing to do. Whether honesty looks like you recognizing that the relationship that you're in right now, that it may in your mind and in your fantasy seem like a good thing, but in reality, based on how you feel, oh gosh, poor guy, my dog, you guys, just got fixed and he's walking around with a cone on. And I thought he was napping, which is why I decided I would come on. And I guess it's time for me to start being honest with myself that having a dog with a cone on his head is probably not the greatest time to do a live stream. But thankfully, I have two amazing colleagues who are loving him up right now. But what I was going to say is that I want to ask you, what does honesty, in terms of you being honest with yourself, look like? And a lot of times what happens in your life when you're struggling is that your life is no longer aligned with what you value deeply. I was just doing this incredible interview for a podcast episode that's coming out in the next couple of weeks with an associate professor, an acclaimed author by the name of Dr. Luana Marquez. And she was incredible. And we had this huge conversation about avoidance and transitions. And one of the biggest things that I've been reflecting on is how when you're struggling in life or when you're frustrated with the results that you have or you don't have, the reason why you're struggling is your life isn't aligned with your core values anymore. And there are a lot of us that experience tremendous shakeup in our lives over the last couple of years, right? And now we think that we can just kind of squeeze our current life into the way things used to be. But the truth is, you need to be honest with yourself because you've changed. And for me personally, one of the things that changed over the past couple of years is one of my values that came to the forefront was more connection with my family. It was a simplified business model. It was more space and time to do deeper work. I had to be honest with myself that some of the ways that I was living my life and approaching my business and approaching even friendship, even my marriage, it wasn't working anymore because I had been prioritizing my values of impact and ambition and success. And so being honest with yourself, it's not the easiest thing to do because it requires you to go beneath the surface and ask yourself, where is my current life not aligned with my values, how I want to feel, how I want to be spending my time? And you also need to be honest with yourself, and this is a really hard one, about your own needs, your own wants, your own dreams, and your own boundaries, and your basic, like, kind of level of what you'll accept in your life. So, what is it? If you're really taking a look in the mirror and you're thinking about the areas of your life or your work or your business that aren't at the level that you want to be at, or if you think about how you're spending your time, if you had to be brutally honest with yourself about what your values are, is the way you're spending your time and your energy aligned with what you value? Because if it's not, you are going to stay stuck. You are going to stay at the level that you're at. You are going to stay with the same results, but your life will skyrocket to a whole new level of excellence and ease and joy and emotional peace when you look inward and you say, what do I truly value? And what I truly value right now in my life is making a huge impact. It's deep connection. It is peace, emotional peace. It is a more strategic and leveraged focus of my time. It's deeper connection and fun with friends. And so if I'm being honest with myself, and if you're being honest with yourself, I guarantee you the time that you spend day to day and week to week, that it's not aligning with what you actually value. And that's why you're stuck. And that's why you're frustrated. And that's why you never have time to focus on what you in your heart long to be doing. Because I'm going to be honest with you. You are capable of doing the work to align your day-to-day life and work with what you value most. You are capable of that. And there's a level of honesty that's required to call you know what on yourself. I had to call you know what on myself because I was so busy doing things that didn't matter. I was so busy chasing the next speech or the next this or the next that or the next other thing, when really what I craved and what my value was to be more strategic in how I was spending my time, to leverage up my business so that it had a better business model, to prioritize time with friends and with my family over constantly saying yes, because that's what I used to, that's what I was doing. And one of the things that I had to be honest with myself about is that somewhere along the line, I don't know if this has happened to you, I somehow attached being busy and achieving with being worthy of love. that my value was in the busyness until it wasn't. And one of the greatest gifts of the last couple of years, being home with my family and not being able to do keynotes, is it brought my core values to the surface and made me go, I need more of this. And I think it's done the same thing for you. That you've been reflecting a lot on the ways in which you want to level up your business. You want to become more focused and sophisticated and strategic about how you spend your time. You want to stop wasting days, weeks, months on things that don't matter. You want to level up your core experiences every single week in terms of who you're spending time with and what you're achieving in your life. That all of this, by the way, is possible. You're capable of all of this, but you've got to be honest with yourself that there are some changes that you need to make. Because what I always tell you, no one's coming. No one's going to do this for you. Nobody is going to figure out what your values are. No one is going to chip away at aligning your life. And I love what Denise just admitted. I've been busy in my own mind to the point of doing nothing because I think I'm too busy, when if I actually look at the time to do things, I would be so much happier. It's so true. We get so addicted to being busy up here that we just churn through time that we could be using to take the actions to pivot our life in a direction that makes us feel more fulfilled. And that's why I always say, I believe in you. Of course you can make changes in your life. Of course you can go back to school. Of course you could triple your business this year. Of course you could become excellent at marketing what you're doing. Of course you can write that manuscript or start that podcast or start that YouTube channel. For crying out loud, if Mel Robbins, a 54-year-old woman, can do all this stuff with no prior experience, you can figure this out. If you're willing to put in the time, if you're willing to be honest with yourself about what you're not doing, about what you're putting up with, about the excuses that you're making for other people who are not showing up. There's somebody in my life that I am like really about right now, because the behavior that they are explaining away in how somebody is treating them. I'm like, do you realize you're being gaslit? And here's the thing about life, everybody. You got to be honest with yourself and know that you can't save other people. That when you try to rescue or save other people, you rob them of the discomfort and the breakdown and the upset that they need in order to have that wake up moment. Like, it wasn't pleasant for me to have a massive breakdown 2 years ago and realize that my life was not aligned with what I actually value. That's a level of honesty that's painful with yourself. And then once you tell yourself the truth that I got changes I need to make. I am tired of wasting time every evening scrolling through Instagram or just mindlessly looking for a new series to numb me out from a life that I don't really like anymore because I'm not actually spending time on things that I value. That's a level of honesty that you got to demand of yourself. If you're sitting around looking at all your competitors in business and you're jealous and judgy and you're wondering why and you're telling yourself all these excuses and you're spending all this energy telling yourself you're too late or this or that or you do not have the resources they have or you're never going to be famous, you're never going to be this. That used to be me too. I used to look around at everybody else who had a best podcast or a New York Times this or a speaking that or a designer this or whatever and tell myself all the reasons. And then I had to be honest with myself. Mel, you're not doing anything to make those things happen. Your values right now are around complaining. That's not what you value, woman. And for those of you that are like, I feel so lost, Mel, I don't even know what I value. I got the greatest tip from Dr. Luana Marquez, professor at Harvard, who I just interviewed. Lean into the struggle. What is painful about your life? And then ask yourself, do that business exercise, the 5 whys. Why do you not like your life right now? I'll tell you what my answers were 2 years ago. because I'm lonely, because I'm tired of just chasing the next thing, because I feel disconnected from my husband, because I'm exhausted and I'm always on the road, because I am busy making excuses instead of taking the bold moves and launching myself in a new direction, because I'm scared, because I'm used to operating at this level, and so I'm literally arguing to stay here. When are you going to be honest with yourself? That you're the one that's not actually doing the work, and the work I'm talking about is get laser clear about what you value right now. You have changed in the last year. These last 3 years have changed you. And it is time to get honest about it. And it's time to make the moves that align your actions with what you do next. You can launch anything when you are honest with yourself. And it's funny, I keep saying somebody go, I have a headache. I'll tell you why you have a headache. You know what a headache is? You know what struggle is? You know what feeling stuck is? It's when you're lying to yourself and it's bubbling up to here. You're making so many excuses, you're containing all of this potential inside you, and you're just tolerating the discomfort instead of changing. What are you doing? Aren't you tired of having low expectations for yourself? Aren't you tired of the excuses that you've created? I know I was just so sick and tired of my excuses. I was so sick and tired of living a life that wasn't in sync with what I actually wanted and cared about. And having that moment of honesty that you want more and you are about to work for it. And I see this thing here from Michael. I know my values, Mel, but it's difficult to manage all my projects and finding a balance between work and private life. Perhaps I'd leave some project apart, but which one? They are all concerning my values. No, they're not. No, they're not. Holding on to something and struggling through it is a sign that there is something about the way that you're doing it that's not aligned with your values. And what I realized is one of the things that I valued was artistry and deeper work and excellence. And I had gotten so freaking busy because there were so many projects going on that I didn't feel like I was operating with excellence and strategy in any of it. I was like one of those ducks that you guys see Mel Robbins going like this, and under the water I'm like, ah! And that's not how that's not what I value. Not at all. And so there is something underneath this. There is a higher personal value or professional value that you need to hold above all the others. You can have a number of values, everyone, and have your life and your values work together. I'll give you an example. So when I got very serious about making an impact, and I got very serious about a deeper connection with Chris and more time with family and friends and creating space and room for passion projects, like I'm starting a cutting garden this year, something I've always wanted to do. I love flowers and I want to actually grow certain varieties of flowers in a cutting garden. And look, this is my thing, doesn't have to be your thing. When I value beauty and connection and making an impact and still being really ambitious, what's interesting is I can make all those values work when I say, oh, well, here's how I'm going to do that. I don't ever accept work for anybody on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. I don't travel on Mondays. I don't travel on Fridays. Those are ways that I can make the values that I care about work together. And for you, there are projects on your plate that no longer are part of this equation, everybody. But this requires you to be honest with yourself. Honest that the way that you've been doing life, there are parts of it that don't work anymore, and nobody's coming to fix it but you. And I really want you to get clear about what you value. And I believe that you can create a better life. And you're going to create a better life when you get clear about what you value. And then you do the work to shift your life and launch it in a direction that aligns with what you actually value. Now, I see somebody saying, I'm working 7 days a week cleaning houses and offices. I'm scared of telling my clients I can't do it anymore. Well, you've got a couple choices. Figure out what your values are. And if part of it is keeping your current client base, figure out how to hire somebody. Figure out a different business model. That's what I did. And here's what I also want to tell you. It doesn't happen like that. You can figure out what you actually value like that. Turn towards your pain. This is what I learned from Dr. Luana Marquez, professor at Harvard, best-selling author. Her new book is Bold Moves. Or turn toward the things that you just love, that are effortless. And your values are in there. And then go back to your current business or your current life and look at it through the lens of your values. That's where your answers are. See, we get so caught up in our emotions and in our patterns of thinking, and we get so reactive that we're not making strategic decisions. We're letting our emotions drive everything. And if you ever want to level up your experience of life, or level up the business that you want to launch, or the passion project that you want to do, or the project that means everything to you, it's what you value the most, but you never find the time for it. You're just paying lip service to it, which is why you're lying to yourself. And this is a moment of honesty, everybody. This is a moment where you got to tell yourself the truth, that you deserve more and you're willing to work for it. I want to start a YouTube channel making do-it-yourself videos and sharing my story and journey about living with anxiety and depression and how I have become the person I am today. I'm scared to start working toward getting my dream job. I'm scared of it becoming a reality, but I want it more than anything. Why am I so afraid to start this YouTube channel? I love this question. How many of you have been thinking about doing more with social media? Give me a thumbs up. How many of you have been thinking about starting a YouTube channel or putting up more videos on YouTube? Give me a thumbs up.
Lots of thumbs up.
Lots of thumbs up. Guess what? Me too. This year, 2020, for me, I am going to completely level up, 10x, whatever hell word you want to use, my video strategy and our social media strategy. And so I'm right there with you. And guess what? When I think about what does it mean to 10x what we're already doing, I get scared shitless. I've been thinking about this for 9 months. I don't know how to do it. I know how to do what I'm doing now. How do you start something that you've never done? You start. That's how you do it. You start. You declare what you want, and then you start. And so I want to take Morgan's question because Morgan has the most amazing question, because here's the thing. Why you're scared to do it is different from what you can do about it. Let me say that again. Why you're scared to do it is different than what you can do about it. So I'm going to answer this question 2 ways. The first way is I'm going to address why you're scared, because I guarantee you the reason why is something you haven't thought about. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you what you can do about it, because you can be afraid and you can do it anyway. You can be afraid and you can use the 5-second rule, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and push yourself forward. But let's talk about why you're afraid to start. Number one, you probably believe you don't deserve to be successful, or that you don't deserve to have a channel on YouTube. Who's going to listen to me? Why should I be doing something like this? Who am I to put out my story? What do I have to say? All of those self-doubt questions that become obstacles to you moving forward, to you starting, that all tells me you don't think you deserve it. That's a huge thing that blocks people just like you. The second thing is, you are so fucking concerned about what your parents or your friends are going to think. I think this is the single biggest obstacle for anybody who wants to do more on social media. You start to question, if you're not posting about your personal life, and you're not posting about your family, and you're not posting about your vacation, and you start to put out content that's different, content that's about the things you care about, content that's about your personal journey, content where you're giving people advice, content where you are stepping out of your comfort zone. The reason why you're scared to start is you're already thinking about what your stupid friends are going to think about it. It is such a shame that your dreams are on hold and being minimized because you care too much about your fucking friends and your family and what they're going to think about it. I want to change that. The other reason why, and I hear this all the time, I know I want to be successful, but I think I'm afraid of the success. This is the number one reason why you're not starting. It's not fear of success. It's not fear of failure. You're simply afraid of change. That's it. You're afraid of things that are out of your control. You're afraid of the unknown. That's all that it is. You have no idea what's going to happen if you start, and that scares the shit out of you. You have no idea whether or not people are going to like your videos, and that scares the shit out of you. You have no idea what your friends are going to say or do when you start doing this. You have no idea what your family's going to say. That scares the shit out of you. And when you really boil it down, and when you really start to get present to that fear, all you do is sit and think about when you're going to start it. That's why you're stuck. That's why I'm doing this program. Because why you're scared is different than what you can do about it. So what can you do about it? Well, first of all, you better get your ass in this program, melrobbins.com/bestdecade, because I've got you covered. We have an entire 4 weeks of programming that is free, where every day we're going to either give you a video or a live stream or a blog post or a post on social media, or we're going to give you a link to something that we've written that contains more resources. You're going to have an assignment that you can do in the workbook that goes with this, and it's going to inch you forward. You're going to learn how to dream bigger, and you're going to learn the fears that are holding you back and how to beat them. You're going to learn, once you dream bigger, an exercise that's going to train your brain to become more expansive and to be able to spot the possibilities that really are calling you forward. Then we're going to teach you how to take one big dream that really inspires you, and we're going to make that your theme for 2020. And then we're going to teach you how you can start to move forward toward your dream without changing anything in your life. And then the coolest part, in my personal opinion, you're going to be part of a private Facebook community full of people that are doing the exact same thing. It's unbelievable. You're going to log onto this Facebook group every day, and you know what you're going to see? Videos from other people in the program who are doing super cool stuff. And you know what that's going to do? That's going to inspire you. That's going to encourage you. That's going to give you the momentum and the courage that you need to do what Morgan's struggling with. Start. Because Morgan, when you get in best you get into best decade ever, and you start to see Julie over in Switzerland, and Al in India, and other people in Ukraine, and people in the United States, all uploading videos going, guess what? I went and had a meeting today with a friend of a friend who owns a bakery, and I learned all this kind of stuff, and now I know one step I can take. Or you say, have somebody go, I just put up my first video on my YouTube channel. I've started. You're going to then watch their video and go, oh my God, I need to start. I need to do this. Hey, Chris, hold on. Chris, yeah. Could you get him out of that cage, please, hon? Thank you. Sure. This live stream is being interrupted by our crated puppy, which is why I am asking my husband to uncrate him. Anyway, why don't I take some questions? We're getting a lot of questions about whether or not this is free. Of course this is free. When you go to the landing page, you are not going to see a place for a credit card. This is not a free trial. This is not a bait and switch. This is not, once you get in and I get you in the Facebook group, now I'm going to sell you a coaching program. I don't have one. You got to come to my event. I do an event every day of the week called the Mel Robbins Show. It is free. You can watch it on television or YouTube. I'm not doing an event. There is literally no strings attached. And I know we're all cynical, and I know we're all sold to, and I know that social media feels like a giant scam at some point, but this is for real, out of service to you. And it's also selfish. Let me tell you one of the main reasons why I'm doing Best Decade Ever. I want to have the best fucking decade ever. I want to go after my biggest dreams. I want to be empowered and inspired and even more deliberate in 2020 than I was in 2019. I want to expand my thinking. I know that I'm holding myself back. And in order to get to the next level, you can't just keep doing what you've been doing. And so I'm excited for this program because I need it. That's right, Mel Robbins, I need it. I want to create the best decade. I want my biggest dreams to come true. I know that I'm limiting myself in terms of how I dream. So I'm doing this program for you and for me. And I'm not going to charge myself for it. So I'm certainly not going to charge you for it. And I also need you. I need you because when I see you going after the things that you care about, whether it's pursuing your dream of having a food tour business, or writing that book, or Morgan starting that YouTube channel, it inspires me to dream bigger. It inspires me to get started. And so that's why I'm doing this program. And that's why it's free, because I know it's going to make a difference in your life, and that's worth more than any money you can ever pay me. And I also know that you may be struggling. And if you're struggling financially, I believe that you deserve to have somebody helping you. And I would be honored to be the person doing that by offering this program for free. I'm very lucky. I'm very fortunate. I work my fucking ass off, and I'm extremely successful. And so I can afford to do this. And that's why I'm doing it, because I get something out of it, and it makes me feel empowered knowing I am helping people around the world to dream bigger and to learn something about themselves and to inspire themselves and other people as we go through this experience. If you expect to achieve your goals, if you expect to reach your potential, if you expect to have your dreams come true, what I'm about to explain to you is mission critical. You must become a master at visualization. Now, for those of you that are like, what the heck is she talking about? I did not sign up for some sort of meditation, woo-woo spiritual thing here. Don't worry, this is Mel Robbins. There's always science and research involved in everything that I talk about. So visualization is a extraordinarily powerful skill. And you may have heard of the law of attraction. You may have heard of the word visualization. You may have heard of the word manifesting. I call it seeing signs. So I'm a master at seeing positive signs. I am a master of creating coincidences. I have the world's most incredible luck. You want to know why? Because I understand the science and the skill of visualization. I know that your brain, it is a gigantic detective machine. Your brain is a filter. Your brain is constantly looking for evidence. And that's good news. It's good news when you know how to use it to your advantage. Let me explain. So your brain has a system in it. Here's the technical term. It's called the reticular activating system. It is a network of neurons all up in here. And what is the job of the reticular activating system? It is a filter system. It's basically a system that allows certain information in your brain, and it blocks out other information. And guess who programmed that filter? You did. And so did the people from your past. And so if you constantly feel like you're unlovable, guess what? Your reticular activating system is going through the day, and it is going to point out every single piece of evidence that confirms that negative belief that you have. If you think that people don't like you at work, the reticular activating system, the filter, it is literally going to be looking for evidence to confirm that belief all day long. This is one of the reasons why we have such a problem with politics in this country. This is why there's something called a confirmation bias. Confirmation bias means your mind loves to read things that you agree with, because reading things that you agree with confirms your filter. Why do we have a reticular activating system? There's a really important reason why you have this. The reason why is if your brain let in everything. Have you ever looked at a Facebook page? Have you noticed how many words are on a standard Facebook page, and the ad over here and the ad over here and the ad over here and the ad and the news feed right here and the stuff up here and all this over here? If your brain took in everything at equal value, your head would literally explode off your shoulders. Your brain would melt down. And so the reticular activating system protects your brain by filtering information and only letting in stuff that it agrees with. So that's the scientific reason and mandate for why you got to get busy reprogramming that thing. Because if you live like I have lived for a very long time, one of the beliefs that I had, we're going to be talking about this a lot this month, one of the beliefs that I had for a very long time is that I was a bad person, that I was not lovable, that I did not deserve to be a good person, that people didn't think I was a good person. And consequently, that led me to do a lot of hurtful things to myself. It led me to do a lot of hurtful things to people that I cared about. And it really damaged decades of my life. And I believed it. I believed it, and it drove my actions, and I saw evidence everywhere. If you're going to do a mindset reset, you've got to change what you believe about yourself. And so for those of you that had a very negative assessment of 2018 and you're feeling down about your goals already as you look at 2019, you have a very negative belief system about yourself. And that's going to stop right now, because now we're going to talk about visualization and how you use it in order to start to reprogram the reticular activating system in your brain so that your brain starts to spot opportunity. Your brain starts to spot evidence that things are working out. Your brain starts to spot coincidences so you can build momentum. And it begins with visualization. So as you take your goals, right? So you've written down all these goals, right, for 2019. I want you to go to each one, and I want you to do a visualization exercise. And here's how you're going to do it based on science, because there's a particular way you have to do this based on science, okay? It's a two-step method. So let's take self-worth, because we had a question about self-worth. If your goal is to improve your self-worth, I want you to visualize what your life looks like and how you're going to feel about yourself when your self-worth has improved. Here's how you're going to do it. So there's two things that you have to do when it comes to visualization. You have to close your eyes. Truly, I know it sounds stupid, but I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to, in your mind, have a specific picture of what it looks like in your life when your self-worth has improved. You're going to see yourself speaking up at work. You're going to see yourself talking more about your business. You're going to see yourself leaving bad relationships. You're going to see yourself defining boundaries. You're going to see yourself going to the gym. You're going to see yourself taking care of yourself. And when you start to visualize the image of that, I want you to consciously, this is step 2, consciously think of the positive emotions that you're going to feel. I'm going to feel happy. I'm going to feel proud. I'm going to stand taller. I'm going to be so grateful that I made this change. Marrying the specific picture. Oh, there I am. There I am. I'm at work and I'm raising my hand. Amazing. I'm sharing my idea. There I am. I'm getting a promotion. There I am asking for a raise. There I am. I've just signed up another customer to my business. There I am. I've gone back to school. I feel so good about myself. When you do that, here's what's actually happening in your brain. This is the cool science part. You are training your brain to have a totally different filter. You see, your brain, my brain, it doesn't know the difference between something that actually happened to you, like the F you got in your test in 10th grade, and the things you imagine that are happening to you. Let me say that again. Your brain doesn't know the difference between the bad things that actually happened to you, the real memories that you have, and an imagined memory that you're creating. Your brain will experience you visualizing going to the gym, you visualizing how happy you feel when you do, you visualizing asking for that raise and getting it and how proud you're going to feel. Your brain, when you visualize in the way that I'm teaching you to, it encodes it as a real memory. And that's important because when you encode it as a real memory, it changes the filter system, that reticular activating system. And here's what we know based on research. The more you visualize things, number one, the greater your confidence is going to be, the greater security you're going to have about it. And here's the really cool thing. The more you do this with your goals, you wake up every day and you just visualize. It takes 30 freaking seconds, for crying out loud. You visualize having a great day at school. You visualize curing your panic and how proud you're going to be. What studies suggest and have proven is that simply visualizing yourself doing things actually develops the skill and helps you improve the skills, just as if you were actually doing it. And so there's proof based on research that visualization helps you build skills. And then finally, the other thing that's really important about this is that the more that you do this, what we know based on research is that the reason why you start to believe what you think is because you are reprogramming your brain. You are changing the network of neurons that act as a filter. And so the more that you actually believe in yourself and you start thinking and visualizing yourself speaking up, the more confident you're going to become, the more skills that you're building, and you're actually going to do it. And then instead of looking for all the reasons when you're sitting in a meeting to not speak up, you're going to just speak up because you're going to have changed the filter. You're going to look for opportunities. This is how it works. This is why this is so incredibly important. And what we're going to talk a lot about today is we're going to talk about this principle that I believe. And the principle is this: profound personal and professional change starts with you. That's right. Profound personal and professional change starts with you. And change starts with you because the most effective change starts from the inside out. Okay? And so as you think about a behavior change or a thinking pattern change that you want to make, or some sort of goal or dream, I want you to take everything that I'm about to teach you and have that example in mind, okay? So that everything that I'm talking about isn't just stuff I'm doing in my life, isn't just stuff that you read about when you look at the research in terms of habits and manifesting, but that you actually walk away with takeaway that is specific to what you want to achieve. Okay? So good. So you've dreamed with the lid off. You've written it into the comments. Now, let's start by letting me give you a hack. I'm going to share with you something that I'm working on right now. Okay? So one of the things that I want to do is I want to drink less in my life. I have a habit, and I've had a habit for decades, of around 6 o'clock when I start cooking dinner, I typically will pour myself a drink. It's something that I enjoy. It's something that I do as a ritual to kind of end the workday and ease into being, in the more personal part of my life. And as I've gotten older, as I've started to understand more about my health, I thought, I actually don't want to be doing that every night. And so I would make this sort of promise to myself that I wouldn't have a drink, and then 6:30 would roll around, and next thing you know, I am mindlessly walking over to the cabinet where the gin is, and I'm making a gin and tonic. And it's not that I feel that I have a problem. It's that I was having a problem getting a new habit to stick. And so here is one hack that is based in science that is going to help you make any new habit stick. And yes, this is relating to manifesting. But what is this little hack? Well, this little hack is something that taps into what's called your procedural memory, okay? And let me tell you how you use the hack. So with that thing, that behavior change, I saw some of you writing down that you want to make more money, you want to stop procrastinating, you want health goals. Here is a hack that you can use using your procedural memory to make a new habit stick. All you have to do is you need to close your eyes and picture yourself step by step by step, practicing the new behavior or thinking pattern. So in my case, this is what it looks like. I close my eyes and I think, okay, I'm in the kitchen. I turn to my left and I can see the red clock and I visualize it saying 6:30. I feel the pull of the cabinet where the gin is, but I picture myself walking over to where the glasses are instead. And then I take a glass and then I picture myself walking over to the fridge, and then I open up the fridge, and then I reach for the kombucha, and then I pull it out, and I grab a lime, and then I grab a soda water, I shut the fridge, and then I pour a kombucha, I pour a little soda water, I take the peeler, I peel the lime, so I get that neat little lime strip, and I see it twisting, and I see the little kind of, like when you twist citrus, it sort of like sprays that little stuff. And then I drop it into the glass and I see myself picking it up and I see myself sipping my mocktail. I don't even want the gin. This tastes delicious. You want to know something fascinating? Research that has been peer-reviewed shows that simply going through that procedure of the new habit or thinking pattern, step by step by step, by going step by step by step, you are locking in a new sequence in your procedural memory. And based on research, that one time that you do it makes it way more likely that when 6:30 rolls around, you are not going to drink the gin. You are going to make the mocktail. Now, why does this work? Well, the reason why this works is because you're using science to rehearse the new behavior or the new situation or the new thinking pattern and to encode it in your brain before you actually do it. And when you use your procedural memory to rehearse something that you want to have become a new habit or a new way of acting in your life, you're basically putting it in your long-term memory. Now, what is your procedural memory? Well, your procedural memory is the part of your brain that has stored all the motor skills, like writing, like picking up a glass and drinking, like walking. It is all stored in your procedural memory. The reason why you and I can walk without thinking about it, or talk, or skip, or brush our teeth is because we have rehearsed that sequence, that procedure, that series of events over and over and over again. And now it's locked into my brain, into my procedural memory. Now, here's what's really cool, everybody. Your brain doesn't know the difference between an event that you have closed your eyes and imagined and an event that you've actually done. And what's happening in your brain when I visualize myself making that mocktail step by step by step by step is I am making connections between the gaps at the end of the neurons in my body, the synapses And every time I either imagine that sequence of events or I practice it, we're making that connection between neurons stronger and stronger and stronger. And so here's what's really cool. What I just told you is manifesting. Seriously. Manifesting done correctly is when you use your procedural memory as a tool to train your brain, your nervous system, your spirit to help you feel motivated and to help you do the work that actually changes your life. How cool is that? I want to be very clear about something. You know, manifesting gets a bad rap because of the law of attraction. But manifesting is not woo-woo at all. It's not a cheesy topic. Manifesting is not just think about something that you want and suddenly it'll magically appear. No, 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 no. Manifesting is when you use your procedural memory and you visualize the step by step by step actions that you need to take in order to make your big goal or the thing that you want or the new habit to become a reality. You see, manifesting isn't the end, everybody. Manifesting is the bridge. It's the series of actions that you're going to take in order to have this new habit. And when you rehearse something and when you encode it in your procedural memory, what actually happens is because it's now something that your brain recognizes, the walking to the other cabinet, not where the gin is, the opening up the fridge and grabbing the kombucha instead of grabbing the gin in the cabinet. When you rehearse this over and over, you are lowering the limbic friction, the friction in your mind, the resistance that you feel. You are lowering that resistance, and that is how manifesting helps you achieve your goals. Okay, can I give you some coaching real quick? Can I give you some coaching? Yes. Okay, you ready? This is a super cool trick, everybody. You're about to see me change her. Okay, here we go. Tell you what we're gonna do. All right, so 0 to 10, how nervous are you right now?
I'm thinking like 11.
Okay, great. Can you describe what's happening in your body?
I'm warm. I'm getting sweaty.
Awesome. Are your pits starting to sweat now? Okay, yeah, she's getting warm under here, everybody. Yeah.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Okay, they're perfect. Just like keep moving them like you're dancing. Okay, great. What else is happening as you're an 11?
I can't stop smiling.
Okay, okay. Terrific. So like the anxiety and the nerves are through the roof.
No.
No.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Okay, see, she doesn't even know where she is. All right, great. So let's make it worse. Let's go on stage. Okay. Everybody give her a round of applause. Okay, here we go. Okay, come here. Okay. All right, 0 to 10. How nervous are you? Did it go higher?
Yeah, it did.
Okay, going higher, everybody. Do you have a neck rash yet? It's getting there. Yeah, I used to get that all the time. Yep. Okay, so I want you to just kind of look out and look at everybody. How many? Yeah. Great, great. Okay, so I'm going to teach you something really cool. You ready? Yeah. Your body doesn't know the difference, everybody, between nervousness and excitement. Okay. So tell me, who's your favorite band?
Nirvana.
Okay, so let's say, well, I realize Kurt Cobain isn't here, but if he were, and if they were playing, and you had a front row seat, how excited would you be?
Oh God, I'd be so excited. I'd be crying and.
Yeah, and would you have a neck rash?
I don't know. Actually, I'd be sweating.
You'd be sweating. Yeah. Yep. Would your heart be racing?
Yeah.
Are those all the things that are happening right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so your body, everybody, has the same physiological response to nerves and excitement. Exact same. The only difference between you being able to see Nirvana and you standing here looking out at everybody else and you're the one on stage is what your brain is saying about it. So I'm going to teach you a really cool trick.
Okay.
So the next time you're nervous, just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm so excited, and then say whatever you're doing. So start going, I'm so excited to be up here.
so excited to be up here.
Say it again.
I'm so excited to be up here.
Say it again.
I'm
Say it again.
excited to be up here.
Yeah, that's right. Let's walk. Say it again.
I'm so excited to be up here. I'm so excited to see everyone here.
Okay. So 0 to 10. How do you feel?
I feel great.
Right? It goes down, right?
Yeah.
So fear builds when you let it sit. It actually lowers the moment you move. And that's a little trick, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm so excited, that has been now researched at Harvard Medical School. And when you use it before an exam, you use it before like any competition, you use it before a speech, you use it before a big pitch, anything. I'm so excited to go in there. I'm so excited I worked so hard. I'm so excited I prepared for this. I'm so excited because regardless of what happens, I'm not going to die, right? And so if you say that, you take control of what's going on in your brain and your body pays attention, and you just look at how different she looks. Literally, she is calm. She's not freaking out. Like you are literally, you're doing the next keynote. I'm out. All right, so how do you feel?
I feel good.
Okay, great. So what was your question?
Okay, so I have big dreams, and
Yeah.
sometimes they just feel like they're not quite out of reach, but they are. So I have a hard time. Like my dream is to be a cougar.
A who?
Cougar.
Wait, a what?
A cougar.
A cougar. Okay.
With lots of hot men around me in
Okay.
the beach, like.
Okay.
But that's like later.
Okay.
I got some years.
I have that feels like it's within reach. I don't know, right? Okay.
But so that's just for later. I'm talking about like career-wise.
Yeah.
It just seems like I'm stopping myself, or I'm so busy. I have 2 full-time jobs right now. Like I'm always on the run and on the go. I just don't know what I can do to get myself to do these other things, or what way to go.
Okay, so let's bring this. So now I'm going to coach you, and we're going to make it less kind of up in the sky and ground it in reality. What is the thing that you want to go pursue?
I just want to be the best I can be. Like I want my own business. I want
Great.
to be independent.
Great. So
I
you would
wanna
like
move
your own
out of my
business.
state, yes.
Okay, great. So let's start. So what do you want to do first? We're going to take them one at a time. Do you want to move out of your state first, or do you want to have your own business?
I think I want to move out of state first.
Okay, terrific. So I'm going to teach you guys how to use manifesting and goal setting properly, okay? Because so it's critical, everybody, to have huge dreams. And so I want you to turn to the person next to you and tell them what is something that you dream about doing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So for me, I dream about launching a podcast, like a big podcast.
I thought you said rockets. And I was like,
No, step aside, Joe Rogan. Mel Robbins coming through. All right, great. I'm just giving you a second. So even if you didn't have a chance, all right, come on back. All right, even if you didn't have a chance to say it, I know you thought it. And so here's the difference between dreams and goals. Dreams are the beacon, right? It's the lighthouse. Goals are the brick by brick path that walk you toward it. Okay, you need big dreams because they pull you out of the stress of your day-to-day life, they raise your gaze, and they remind you of where you're headed. And if you don't know where you want to head, there's a simple trick that can help you figure it out. Number 1, ask yourself, well, what do I not want? And move in the opposite direction. Number 2, who am I jealous of? Jealousy is blocked desire. You are jealous of people because you think you can't have the thing that you feel called to have. And so if you are jealous of somebody, it means inside of what they're doing or how they're being, there's something that is meant for you. Like you can't be jealous of something you don't want. I'm not jealous of anybody that has a penthouse, for example, in Abu Dhabi. I don't want to live there right now. Don't even feel anything when I think about it. It's not meant for me. But when you think about the things that you want, that is a really clear directional signal from your soul that you are not giving yourself permission to move toward those things. So jealousy is just blocked desire. So you know you want to, that's the dream. And so what I want you to do is I want you to tell me what are 2 things that somebody who's preparing to move out of state is doing. in their day-to-day life?
Saving money.
Okay. And I just guess by the expression on your face, you're not that great at that.
Well, I was, and then I came here.
Okay. Oh, that's okay. Guess what? This is going to be money well spent. You invested in yourself, okay? And you know how to save money. And so by being on this stage, you got plucked up here because it's time to get serious about this goal. And so, couple things. Here's how you're going to use science to train your body to help you lay those bricks towards moving. You are not going to envision moving to the new state. You are not going to envision your new apartment. You are going to envision the annoying, pain in the ass stuff you don't want to do in order to have that thing come true. So you will envision yourself not going out with friends on the weekend because you're saving money. You will envision yourself only putting things in the Amazon cart, but not actually purchasing them, right? You will envision yourself opening up bills and noticing, oh, great, like I'm slowly like saving all, like what is one thing that you hate doing that you know you need to do?
Changing my litter box.
Oh, okay, that was not the one I was expecting. Related to money and saving money. Related to money and saving money.
Saving it. I've put whole paychecks in my savings account, and it just hurts me a little bit.
Great. I want you to visualize and feel that it hurts. I want you to visualize that next paycheck going into saving and feel the like, and then I want you to say to yourself, I'm really proud of myself for doing that because that's going to help me go. And so for those of you, for example, that want to get in better shape, visualize walking in the rain because that sucks. And what happens when you visualize it and you feel it is you're training your body to expect that, which makes it more likely that you will take that paycheck and put it in savings, or you will keep walking as the rain comes because you've already mentally rehearsed this moment in your mind. This is the way that a team of 9 psychologists are training our Olympic athletes in the United States. This has deep research with it. So stop thinking about the state and start thinking about all the annoying little stuff you got to do right now, and you will be there before you know it. You got it?
Yes.
Good.
Oh my God.
Go do it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. Julia says, I want to start working on a business now, and I've tried a bunch of times, but each time I try, I fail miserably. How many of you have tried to pursue something and you failed miserably every time? Give me a thumbs up so that Julia knows she's not alone and so that you see that you're not alone. And here's why she fails miserably. She says she gets too stressed out and I have too much on my plate with an infant and being a stay-at-home mom. Should I push forward even though my health suffers by putting too much of my plate? I'm thinking of just waiting until my daughter goes into preschool 2 years from now. What do you think? 2 years from now? No, you're not waiting. Here's what you need to do, Julia. You have an infant. You're a stay-at-home mom. There's a lot to do. It can be very isolating. People hear stay-at-home mom and they think, oh, you got all the time in the world. But the truth is you have almost no time because you're constantly taking care of your infant. And then while your infant's sleeping, hopefully your infant does sleep and nap during the day. But during those windows of bliss when they're napping, you're exhausted. You got stuff to do around the house. You got errands you need to run. So there's not a lot of time. So here's the thing, though. You need 10 minutes a day. Your issue isn't that you don't have time. Your issue is you're making the amount of stuff that you need to get done way too big. And so I want you to go back to the toolkit that we sent out this week, the Dream Builder. And I want you to look very closely at page 4. Page 4 is where we walk you through your big dream. Your job, if you're somebody like Julia, that you make this too big, too overwhelming, too much going on, you get too stressed out, so you quit. Your job is to use page 4 of this to shrink down everything that you're doing. You are only allowed to work on your dream 10 minutes a day. When you get really good at finding 10 minutes a day to Google something, to read something, to write something, to work on one blog post, to make one phone call. When you get really good at working that in, move it to 15.
When you get really good at 15 minutes, add a second 15-minute block at a different time in the day. Remember, brick by brick to make it stick. If you're stressed out, if you're overwhelmed, if you fail all the time because you got too much on your plate, I'm going to tell you right now, the problem is you are not breaking down your dreams into small enough chunks. I worked on the book I'm writing today for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. That's it. 10 minutes. That's all I did. 10 minutes. 10 minutes a day, I'll get the book written. I can write 700 words in 10 minutes. Will they be words that make it to the final book? Probably not, because it was a bunch of shit that I barfed up today in terms of the stuff that hit the paper. But 10 minutes a day is enough for me to do something, to lay one brick. Take the pressure off, Julia, by shrinking what you need to do. But dear God, do not say all or nothing. This is all or nothing thinking, everybody. Either I quit my job or I quit my dream. Nope, all or nothing thinking. And I keep my job and I find small ways to work on my dream. Either I'm a failure and I wait 2 years because I'm too overwhelmed, or I get stressed out and I make myself crazy while I'm trying to pursue my dreams. No. How about I'm a stay-at-home mom taking care of an infant, and every day I find 15 minutes to work on my dream. That's it. Don't stress yourself out. The second you're overwhelmed, the second you're stressed out, you have too big of a chunk on your plate every day. Shrink it down. The thing that you have on your plate today, I got to know what your to-do list looks like. Build a website, write a book, make 10 phone calls, sell product. Way too big. You got to break it down to one phone call. You know who has a really good book on this? Tom, I think his first name is Thomas. The guy who was one of the co-founders of Keller Williams, he wrote a book called The One Thing. And it's all based on the progress principle at Harvard, that there's one thing you do a day, that successful people focus on one thing that they're going to do today. And I want you to adopt that philosophy, only shrink it down to one thing you do a day that you can get done in 15 minutes.
Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed that video, by God, please subscribe, because I don't want you to miss a thing. Thank you so much for being here. We've got so much amazing stuff coming. Thank you so much for sending this stuff to your friends and your family. I love you. We create these videos for you. So make sure you subscribe. Mwah.